So, what are tips that you can actually give to someone that's considering to do any kind of brand or content related research?
I mean, I can only provide how I would personally approach it. I don't know if there's I'm sure there are some very clever people who say this is how to approach it. Um, I was always mentored by the various different amazing people that I've been very lucky to work with over the years. Um, uh, I think it sort of comes back to something I said at the beginning, which is, research is designed to find out the things you don't want to find out as much as it is about finding out the thing you do want to find out. Um,
Mm,
as marketers in a business, it's our job to challenge known truths. Okay, so I would always I will always approach research with with the objective of looking at it from, if you like, the entire business life cycle. So what does the C-suite need to know? What do
mm,
they need to know that they should be talking about at the highest level, whether it's to the press, to the internal stakeholders, so your
yeah.
staff, your supply chain. Staff want to know that they work for a business that's got long legs. Your suppliers want to know they're selling to a business that isn't going to go bust overnight. So what are the things that we need to identify that allow us to create that kind of solidarity? So what does the C-suite need to know? Then what do your operators need to know? What are the people that are talking to your customers every single day? What do they need to know about? What are the value added elements that our customers need to know about in order to improve their businesses or really just make accurate decisions? Um, I talk about clear thinking a lot. And for me, it comes down to that. Like, how do you create clarity of thought so that you can assert something with total confidence? So, for
Mm,
your C-suite, it's how you project into the market. For your customers and your account directors and everything, it's how do you talk to them to give them the right advice so that they can buy the right things or not buy the right things or reduce the amount they're buying or increase the amount they're buying, whatever it is. The point is, how can you serve your customer better? So that's got to be key. Then you've got to think about broadly your employees. What do they need to know about? Because your employees are absolutely critical. What do they want to know that keeps them coming to work every day? That's really interesting. That shows that you've got a business that's like, worth being part of. PayComplete's got a phenomenal history. We've got people that seem to have been here since day one, and we feel like we started in the 50s. So I don't know how they're still walking, to be honest. But I've not been in a business that's had people basically more than about 2 or 3 years, mainly because I've worked in a lot of startups and whatnot. But equally, even in the larger organizations I've been part of, to have people in that organization that have been there 35 plus years is just like mind blowing. So, how do you maintain that? How do you understand the market enough? How do you understand what we do enough? How do you understand what you sell enough to keep people in the business for longer? Because it's really, really expensive when you churn people through businesses. Uh, the next one, which is where it starts to get quite spicy, is around product. So, what do the
mm,
product guys need to understand about what the market wants, and the bigger kind of holistic themes that will impact on the way that we think of our product development cycles or our product development roadmaps? What are the must-haves that go into product development? What are the nice-to-haves, and what are the could leave behind, could leave out type stuff? Um, I'm not suggesting that it happens at PayComplete, but certainly, I've been in plenty of businesses where, development on a product happens within like a tube of, well, we know that this is the right way to do it. So we're just going to do this because this is definitely what everyone's definitely going to want this. And it's just nonsense, it turns out. So, research has to identify customer, product. I would also class your customers, your investors. It needs to be thinking about your supply chain, your internal customers, your employee. So, you know, you can't just, I guess my point is you can't just approach research with a question of, I want to know how to sell more, right?
mm.
And I want to know the pain point that I'm going to solve. Because if you do that, you're going to kind of end up crafting the question set in a way which gives you what you want.
Yeah.
And that's really easy to do. And there's a lot of crap research out there, let's face it, which does a lot of that. Um, so it's really important that when you're approaching this kind of stuff, you have to approach it with with multiple kind of eyeballs looking in, multiple lenses looking in, because each side will naturally challenge the thinking around some sort of thing, and through that you will actually find the red thread that runs through it, and the core narrative, because you won't
Mm.
just have one side, a one-sided view, right? So also what I'd say is when you're looking at question sets and in the way that you develop question sets, you do look at it from that kind of like, okay, front end, middle, back end, how does a business operate? What are the key pain points that you're trying to identify? But actually, why are those key pain points happening? How do you dig further into the question sets to understand the customer's customer? Or, how do you dig further to understand, okay, that pain point's happening, but what are the actual impacts? What are the other bits that are pulling around there that actually might need to be resolved in order to resolve that pain point? Because 9 times out of 10, the pain point that you think you have as a business is not the root and cause of the pain. It is actually an outcome of multiple other factors. So, we certainly looked at things like that from the perspective of when we were going into this research. And I think it would have been very easy to have gone into the research with our stuff and just gone, right, we just need to prove that cash is going to be here for the next 100 years and that everybody needs to invest in it. What we ended up coming out with is saying, actually, digital payments are on the up. We know that. Everyone loves digital payments. Alternative payments, yep, they're on the up. You've got crypto, you've got Klarnas, you've got, whatever. You've got loads of different stuff. Bank to bank, great, all wonderful. Every single demographic has a preference. And interestingly, cash was always one of the top preferences throughout every demographic for a very different reason. So rather than going in and saying, yeah, we've proven that cash is going to be here forever, you should invest in our technology, what we've done is said, actually, we can show you at quite a detailed level the attitude and the emotional connection that people have with cash. So as a business, if those are the types of customers that you want to approach, and your strategy is a long-term strategy to potentially evolve people through different payment types, as most people would, you go into a store, you get a loyalty card, you then move on to online because you know what you want to buy, you then get extra credit, you then get brought back into store to make sure that you relive that experience and the brand really resonates, blah, blah, blah. At no point has the discussion ever started in that case with cash. Now we can pinpoint why in a lot of cases cash needs to be part of that conversation, and that's really, really important. So we went in to really expose, if you like, the myths, the preconceptions around cash, and also not just in a binary blinkered way, with reference to, we know we're in an industry that's growing phenomenally, but there are still moments where cash is important. So what we didn't want to try and do, as I said before, is prove that cash is going to be here for 100 years and that's why I need to buy. We also didn't want to try and prove that cash was the most important thing that you should focus on and it's back, cash is king again and everybody's going to start using cash. It's absolute nonsense, right? Absolute nonsense. But proving the relevance, the emotional connection, and also the kind of the critical component or the critical strategy that cash can play within businesses to improve sustainability, improve resilience, acquire new customers, and through doing so, actually improve business. That was a really, really key kind of objective that we hoped to prove. And luckily, the way we asked the questions and certainly the sort of authentic approach of going, right, let's make sure that we really expose ourselves to the dangerous bits here as well, that say, yeah, we could have easily come back and been like, cash was at the bottom of everything.
Yeah.
Cash is out, dead, gone, nightmare. We would have been like, okay, well, that's kind of screwed us, to be honest. But at least we would know how to defend against it. We know how to pivot to it. We know how to sort of change our some of our thinking. So really important that you always approach it with that kind of really authentic mindset of this could not go right. Because I think if you go in with the mindset of we've got to prove that, you'll get that, but it'll be spurious data.
Yeah, and I believe the 450 million views that you've got are testament to you went in with an authentic point of view, and it just shows.
I definitely agree with that. And I think, just as a kind of peripheral statement, I've never ever been able to achieve anything quite like that before in my career, where we've produced some sort of a research piece, or we've produced something which has just been latched onto by so many different places. And yeah, whether it's kind of because of cost of living or whatever, I guess the point is we identified something which is contextually very, very relevant at the moment. And that's the other thing. Again, be contextually relevant with your research.
Yeah.
Make sure you're commenting on society, not just focusing on your pipeline, and that you need to get that one key message which says that it's critical that you buy from us. That's not going to cut it. People don't buy like that anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, the buyer cycle has changed so much over the years. Like a lot of people make that mistake of being too siloed with their kind of research, and they're like, "Fine, we've done this. This is how we work. These are our solutions," but they never think about how other factors are going to play. This was really helpful, Andy. Thank you so much for
Right.
answering these questions. And I'm sure someone out there who's at the cusp of approaching research and has never done anything like this is going to be very helpful for them.
Yeah.
We'll for
Hopefully.
sure keep an eye out for the. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We'll for sure keep an eye out for any other mentions that come by, all the big things that PayComplete and you do as well. And we'll catch up soon.